Welcome to Eggs and Issues, a monthly business program presented by the Portland Community Chamber of Commerce. Good morning, everyone. I'm Erin O'Valley of WMTW News 8. Eggs and Issues is supported by presenting sponsors Bank of America, Martins Point Healthcare, and WEX, in cooperation with IDEX Laboratories, Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare, and Oxford Networks. Also, television sponsor WMTW News 8, production support by Headlight Audiovisual. And now, please welcome the Portland Community Chamber of Commerce President, Bill Becker of Key Private Bank.
Well, good morning and welcome to Eggs and Issues. This is the Portland Community Chamber's monthly business forum where we gather to discuss business issues of the day. My name is Bill Becker, Vice President of Key Private Bank and the volunteer president of the Portland Community Chamber of Commerce. Before we get started today, I'd like to take a moment to recognize the life of an amazing individual and family. Many of you know our friend and colleague, Melissa Rector-Bork, who passed away on December 25th. Her battle against Crohn's disease and colon cancer was both awe-inspiring and difficult. Melissa was one of the strongest people that one could ever know. Her husband, Mike, chair of our regional board, and my predecessor as president of the Portland board, and his family have been an example of goodness and strength. I'd like to ask that we take a moment to remember Melissa. Thank you very much. Now, I know that some of you are headed off to an inauguration today, and that you'll be leaving a little bit early, and we won't be offended if you leave the room. So, Happy New Year. The Portland Community Chamber of Commerce has lots of great things in store for 2015, and I'm very much looking forward to an amazing year. Our Vice President, Quincy Hensel, is leading the way with our Business Leaders Roundtable. We continue to promote economic development in the region, and we are moving forward with the discussions regarding a convention center here in Portland. I was with Senator King over the weekend, and he's very excited about a convention center in Portland. More to follow, but suffice it to say that the Chamber will be quite busy in 2015. I'd like to offer a few words about our sponsors. Our program is made possible through the generous support of our sponsors, all of them leaders in the greater Portland business community. Please hold your applause until I have mentioned all of them. Presenting sponsors, Bank of America, Martins Point Healthcare, and WEX. Cooperating sponsors, Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare, IDEX, and Oxford Networks. Reception sponsors, Clark Insurance and Key Bank. Our parking sponsor, Allen Signs with Impact. Overall production support of Eggs and Issues is provided by Headlight Audiovisual, and our program is broadcast by our friends at Time Warner Cable's digital service Video on Demand. Our print sponsor is The Forecaster. E-media partner is MainBiz. Our radio sponsor is WGAN, who interview our speakers and broadcast live right here every month. Our broadcast partner is WMTW TV. We also thank our special community partners, Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield, Northeast Delta Dental, and the Portland Press-Herald, Maine Sunday Telegram, pressherald.com. Please join me in thanking all of our sponsors for their generous support of Eggs and Issues. Our Tomorrow's Leaders and Entrepreneurs program allows area high school and Southern Maine Community College students and faculty to attend Eggs and Issues during the academic year. We'd like to thank our sponsors, AAA Northern New England and Springborn Staffing, for their support of this program. With us today are students and faculty from Cheverus, Gorham, Falmouth, and Cumberland High Schools. We also welcome students and faculty from Southern Maine Community College. Would all of our students and faculty please stand and be recognized? Baker Newman Noyes sponsors our Community Corner program, which allows area nonprofits to promote their organizations at Eggs and Issues. Our Community Corner partner this month is the Robotics Institute of Maine, whose mission is to inspire youth to gain a new perspective on science and technology by providing opportunities and resources for the robotics programs. The Institute is administered at the Manufacturers Association of Maine. Their primary goals include providing funding and resources to robotics teams and competitions in Maine, increasing awareness of the programs that are available to Maine's youth, and to increase the number of Maine youth participating in competitive robotics. While they focus primarily on high school students, support reaches all of Maine's youth. The Institute currently provides funding to 3 main programs: FIRST Robotics Competition, VEX Robotics Competition, and the FIRST LEGO League. Through these 3 programs, they reach over 2,000 Maine students from Kittery to Fort Kent. These programs also include almost 500 adult mentors and volunteers who work alongside these students. The Institute also provides summer camps, hands-on training, and integrated classroom activities designed specifically to increase interest and involvement in science, technology, engineering, and math fields. Please welcome Jamie Luce, the director of the Robotics Institute. Now we want to take the time to recognize any new chamber members who are with us here this morning. New members, would you please stand and be recognized? Copies of the complete list of our newest members are available at the registration area, or you can speak to chamber staff. Just a quick reminder before our speaker begins, we'll have a question and answer period at the end of today's presentation. I encourage you to use the microphones provided. You may also tweet questions or follow the conversation using our hashtag, #EggsAndIssues. Now on to the program. Chris Joyce took over the main site leadership for Texas Instruments in the spring of 2012. He is the executive sponsor of TI's Worldwide Manufacturing Council and Emerging Leader Program. He is active in the community, supporting United Way, University of Maine, University of Southern Maine, and Southern Maine Community College. Chris graduated from the University of Maine with a BS in engineering physics. In his over 30 years of experience in the semiconductor industry, Chris has held a number of engineering roles with Texas Instruments, Fairchild, and National Semiconductor, including 12 years leading the technology R&D efforts at the South Portland operation. His group supported technology developments, qualifications, and transfers, contributing significant revenue growth for both National Semiconductor and Texas Instruments. Please join me in welcoming Chris Joyce.
Good morning. It's cold outside. Thank you, Bill, for that kind introduction, and Happy New Year. I want to recognize the end of 2014. It's behind us now, and 2015 looks like it's going to be full of surprises. Gas is $2.30 a gallon. The economy looks like it might be behaving, maybe. And the Google barge has left the harbor. Say goodbye to high tech. But I have a prediction this morning, actually based on this morning, they're going to see a lot of startups in backyard ice rinks. We're going to have fun this morning. I would like to present you with a compelling message and a call to action for growing technical talent as the backdrop to future economic prosperity for our region. I have been in high tech in Maine for over 30 years, and I was a needy STEM student. I struggled with engineering math at the University of Maine as a freshman, and I believe I could have been better prepared. Today, we have improved in many ways, but we cannot grow complacent with our current position. Developing the technical pipeline includes all aspects of education, K through 12, associate degrees, undergraduate, graduate degrees, as well as advanced degrees in technical fields of study. Participants in the pipeline include students, parents, teachers, faculty, and those of us privileged to run businesses in the region. We need to be committed to the task, tenacious in our goals, and collaborative across the entire educational spectrum. We need to encourage students who choose STEM today, and today I will outline our roles and responsibilities to those students. Well, good morning, Albert. What are you thinking? Albert Einstein was a pretty creative thinker, and that's what we're talking about this morning as well. There will be long-term outcomes to our endeavor that will bring new prosperities to our region. People who are good at problem solving and creative thinking will produce a myriad of ideas, and a collection of good ideas can be the basis for innovation. Simply said, innovation is the process of creating and delivering new value in the marketplace, but it is never easy, never simple, and requires talent and hard work. Knowing the needs of customers, understanding approaches, alternatives, and competing ideas, solving customer problems, delivering solutions in a cost-effective way can be positively disruptive to the status quo. And it can also be quite a bit of fun, so you can have fun doing it as well. Innovation can be a dominant change agent for cost, business, quality, product values, product capabilities. Innovation can transform an industry, small business, or a startup and drive new prosperity where once was thought unlikely or out of the question. When a disruptive idea hits and takes hold, it can buck the tide of predictions about who and what will succeed. There is nothing wrong with beating expectations. Our region has many successful companies with successful products or services. How long will those products and services continue to fuel their prosperity? How long will their customers continue to be satisfied with their current offerings? How soon will a competitive solution drive the customer to another supplier? Friends, it's a tough world out there. So who needs innovation? The answer is any industry or small business that wants to continue to prosper and thrive in a competitive world that knows no regional boundaries. Internet commerce has been a disruptive force, allowing customers broader choices, and those choices can come from anywhere in the world. Yes, regional competition still persists, but we must look beyond our horizons to understand our true competitive positioning. I have been in the business of semiconductor technology for over 30 years, and today as an employee of Texas Instruments, I see my business fraught with global competition. However, innovations have allowed us to continue in Maine for over 50 years. 50 years of semiconductor technology in Maine. Wow, how time flies. However, innovations have allowed us to stay here in Maine for over 50 years. 50 years that includes experience in developing, designing, and manufacturing products. There is a lot of confusion about who and what is going on at the corner of Foden Road and Western Avenue in South Portland, so let me try to clarify that for you. Starting in 1962, Fairchild Camera and Instrument located a new facility in South Portland to address the fast-growing business of semiconductors. In 1987, Fairchild was acquired by National Semiconductor, expanding National's product diversity and worldwide market share. In 1996, National broke ground for an advanced semiconductor manufacturing facility and subsequently divested of Fairchild in 1997. Before that groundbreaking, National considered alternate sites in Texas, Scotland, and regions in Asia, before ultimately deciding on South Portland. Maine's semiconductor legacy was a factor in that final decision. Fairchild was reborn and went on to grow its discrete power business into what is today a top 5 position in the world. In 2011, Texas Instruments acquired National Semi to increase its analog product capabilities, and the South Portland facility significantly added process and product diversity to TI's already significant offerings. So 50 years of legacy in Maine with notable innovations coming from technical talent produced at the University of Maine, the University of Southern Maine, and Southern Maine Community College. So what is Texas Instruments, and what do we do? Most people know us by our most popular product. When I tell people I work at TI, first thing they say, I used to use a TI calculator in school. Do you guys make calculators out there? And my response is, well, gee whiz, we just can't make enough calculators out there at that factory. Truth be told, we don't make calculators in Maine. But we do need our STEM students to be proficient in our calculators. Calculators represent less than 1% of TI's overall sale, just to give you an idea of that business, but it's still strong. TI was founded in 1930. TI is a global semiconductor design and manufacturing company, operating in 35 countries, serving over 100,000 customers with over 100,000 products, along with software and design tools that support those products. TI maintains an industry's largest sales and support staff, and TI patents issued worldwide are over 41,000 cumulatively, and that speaks to the value TI sees in its innovations and the extent to which it protects those innovations. TI's manufacturing footprint spans North America, Europe, and Asia, and consists of 12 wafer fabrication facilities, shown in red, including the main facility, and 7 assembly and test facilities, shown in blue. You can imagine the diversity and practices of these global teams, and yet there is an amazing amount of collaboration and sharing between sites. We work together and help each other out. Engineers in the main facility have been working with engineers in Japan, engineers in Germany, engineers in Scotland, and of course engineers in the Dallas area. And I got a question earlier today about the competency around the world compared to Maine people, and I would say, based on that experience, within the company there's strong competency in all those regions, but there's no second class to any of that, those regions I just mentioned, and that's based on firsthand experience. So what does TI make in Maine? Simply said, we make integrated circuits on monocrystalline silicon. There'll be a test at the end of this. I know that's a mouthful, but silicon is the primary building block to virtually all integrated circuits today in the world. So next time you're over at your favorite beach in Maine, winter or summer, scoop up a handful of sand. About 80% of what is in your hand is silicon dioxide, which is silicon bound with oxygen. And through a complex process used to purify that silicon to crystalline form, we get an ingot whose diameter is predetermined based on the size of the wafer that you're going to end up with. And that ingot is sliced up like a piece of bread into individual wafers that look like this. This is a 200 millimeter or an 8-inch wafer. And it's processed, it's got chips on the front of it, if you can see those. But when it starts, it's bare. And we build the circuits on top of that piece of silicon. These are pictures of our clean room facility in Maine. It's got some really high-tech yellow lighting in it for no really good reason except that it looks cool. And as the wafer goes through about 600 processing steps, it ends up with a collection of transistors, resistors, capacitors, inductors, and all those electrical components that you learn about in school. And the way they're put together is determined by the product design that you desire. At any one time in our main facility, we have up to 600 products in our WIP, in our work in progress, just to give you an idea of the scale. This is TI's CEO, Rich Templeton, and he's holding up a wafer, and it's meant to show you how the product is arrayed across the wafer. So if you have an 8-inch wafer, depending on the size of your integrated circuit, you may have 20,000 products on one piece of silicon. If you have a large integrated product, you might have a couple hundred. So it depends on what you're making. And what do those individual chips look like? So the colors are great. They look like jewelry. They're very beautiful. But let me tell you what you're looking at. In orange, which is not covered by the yellow metal lines of aluminum, so you can actually see, those are the devices, the transistors, capacitors, etc. These circuits might have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 layers of aluminum connection metal running on top of each other, next to each other, to connect up those devices. And then the white squares around the perimeter are exposed aluminum where you connect this chip to the outside world. And you put it in a protective package like this, and then you put it on a circuit board where you put it in whatever application you have. So the finished wafers in Maine, after 600 process steps, are sent to an assembly and test facility. They're separated from the wafer form. They're put into this black type package. They're tested, and then off they go to the customer. There is intense math and science in what I've shown you. The success in our main facility comes from a diverse group of engineers and technicians with educations in chemical, electrical, mechanical, physics, environmental, industrial, and ergonomic engineering sciences. These protective packages look like this, and depending on what kind of product they're going into, they have many forms. But once they get once the chips are put inside this, you never see them again. So, you know, the curtain's been drawn once they get inside the package. TI product solutions exist in virtually every electronic product in the world, but let me share a couple examples. So we have product solutions in hybrid electric cars, and it's all about battery management, discharging and recharging the battery so you actually make it to Augusta and back. Today we have wearable devices. People want to know what's going on. So do you know your blood pressure, your activity level, you being active enough, your caloric intake, maybe even your insulin levels? Those wearable devices connect to your mobile device, your mobile phone, and they give you some readout. They give you some indication, some stimulation maybe. Automotive sensors that warn the driver that another vehicle has gotten into your blind spot. So there's proximity sensors we make. And lighting, bright idea. Lighting, LED lighting is more complicated than an incandescent bulb. You know, it's LEDs need smart electronics to actually light the LED and to allow for dimming and, believe it or not, color tuning so that you have a nice warm lighting experience. And that sells, right? That's good to have. So you can see TI, just a couple examples, but we play in all these spaces. 100,000 products, over 100,000 customers. We make a lot of diverse types of products. I've given you some examples. TI's commitment to innovation spans product development. All the products we build, it's an R&D activity. Across multiple R&D labs, we have labs around the world. TI incubates innovation to deliver breakthrough solutions. Manufacturing technology is really important. and it's the hallmark of decades of innovation. And TI partners with university and industry consortia to maintain that edge. Overall, this commitment to innovation has been funded to a level of $9 billion over the past 5 years. It's important. All right, let's get back to this is what the story is about today. This is about the technical pipeline that students are in, that we all went through. This is K through 12, associate's degrees, undergraduate, graduate degrees. And this is about how we can augment that experience for students. So what kind of things can we get into? We can augment these experiences with a myriad of engagements with the pipeline. We have science and math fairs, science camps, space camps, robotics. You'll see some of that today. Engineering ambassadors, exposing teachers and faculty to the problems we are trying to solve today and for tomorrow through corporate partnerships and internships. So strong graduates in growth areas of employment, solving problems and innovating will foster future prosperity for our region. So what is STEM? Some of you may have gotten here today and you don't know what STEM is. It's important. It's a buzzword. It's easy to remember. Science, technology, engineering, and math, education for global leadership. And it's foundational to the technical pipeline. President Barack Obama said in 2010, leadership tomorrow depends on how we educate our students today, especially in science, technology, engineering, and math. Well said. Do you value STEM literacy now that you know what it is? Is STEM a critical component to future innovation? Are you investing capital, resources, or time in STEM? Or did you come here today thinking you were going to learn something about stem cells? So when we talk about STEM brain cell development, that covers some good areas. Talk about critical elements and attributes needed to unlock creativity, foster teamwork, leadership, curiosity, problem solving, and critical thinking to change future outcomes. STEM programs are up and running in the regional schools in this area. Are you aware of what is happening around you today? What is the status at your schools? What are their needs? How can you help? And are you willing to engage? That's the challenge. Remember, STEM occupations cover a broad spectrum, not just engineering. How would these occupations fare with a lack of STEM literacy? Are you okay with an actuary or a statistician lacking STEM literacy? How about a nurse, a surgeon, or a hygienist? What would predictions look like from an economist who just did not quite get the math? You get my point. Speaking of economic predictions, across the period from 2012 to 2022, STEM occupations in Maine are predicted to experience 8.8% employment growth versus 1.5% for non-STEM. And this slide predicts that by degree type, where that employment might happen, and you can see that associate and higher degrees are clear winners. You probably knew that before you came here today. But did you know that in 2013, earnings in Portland were over $20,000 greater for STEM versus non-STEM majors? And most of us are non-STEM majors in a certain age and above. That is prosperity today and tomorrow for STEM-based education. So what gaps can we close to build the bench and support the pipeline? Business roundtables change the equation. Survey data shows common themes around corporate internships, curriculum development, apprenticeships, and classroom instructional assistance. Let me share with you my experiences firsthand and challenge you to engage in any of these initiatives. So do you support math and science fairs in which your children participate? Even if your children have matriculated beyond that stage, you can support math and science fairs as participants, judges, spectators, sponsors. Consider an engineering ambassadors program. TI is partnered with Maine Math and Science Alliance. And here is a workshop involving teachers and local engineers preparing for a science project and classroom application. Engineers mentor the students throughout the projected phases of the project. Here's a photo of South Portland science teacher in our main facility paired with our talented engineers. We show them what we do across multiple engineering disciplines. What problems are we trying to solve today? What challenges do we have for tomorrow? And we collaborate with them on their STEM journeys. We have strong partnerships with universities and community colleges. With over 35 alumni and TI funding, we dedicated an electrical engineering lab at the University of Maine, where we have served on the advisory board as well. With over 30 alumni from USM, we have maintained an engineer in residence over the past year, building relationships with faculty and students. At SMCC, their successful training program has made SMCC technicians sought after across TI's wafer fabrication facilities, not just in Maine, but also in Texas. Okay, that's enough for me. Let's get to the stars of today and the innovators of tomorrow. Robotics programs were launched in Maine over 20 years ago, and today you will see the fruits of the program. Robotics, tinkering, taking things apart, seeing how they work, discovering what works and what doesn't work, building something with purpose, working together as teams, making collaborative decisions about what to do and how to do it, presenting in competition in front of peers, parents, teachers, and even some of you here today. And lastly, this is my favorite picture. This is the 2013 Maine Robotics Competition held at the Coliseum in Lewiston. There is so much talent at this event, and you can just see and feel the energy from this. Someday, one or more of these students will innovate something that will touch our lives. Think about that. And now, please join me in welcoming Kyle Hansen, Declan Campbell, and Ryan Morrison representing the VEX Robotics team with students from Greeley High School in Cumberland. And also join me in welcoming Olivia Baranowski, John Alling, Abraham Eaton, Joe Matino, Jacob Sturgis, representing the FRC Robotics team with students from Falmouth High School, Gorham High School, and a Gorham homeschooler as well. With them today are adult mentors John Kraljic and Michelle Matino. After they give you an awesome demonstration of their work, we can open up the session for question and answers. Take it away, teams. Can you hear me? Good. Hello? Okay. Can everybody hear me? If I get run over, you come peel me off the pavement, okay? All right, let's go over and hear these guys. Olivia, tell us about your robot.
Okay, so this is last year's robot, and the objective of the game was that the field was broken up into 3 parts. We had to collaborate with other teams from all over the world and be able to pass that ball from one zone to another robot. At the end of the field, we had to throw that ball into a 10-foot high goal, and based on our collaboration with other teams, we were able to score more points. We did really well in our regional events, and then we ended up qualifying for districts, and then we qualified for the international event last year too, but we didn't go because it was too last minute. But yeah.
It was all a worthwhile experience, I'm sure. I'm not supposed to be in front of this speaker, I'm sorry. How long, Kyle, did it take you to build your robot?
This robot here did not actually take too long. We made many changes. We started the first robot for this competition at the beginning of this school year. We made many changes to it. This particular robot you see here, we started a little bit before winter break.
Not bad, not bad. Still going to school and still doing the art of the studies, I'm sure. All right, let's have a round of applause for the robots team. Thank you. You guys can shut these things down and come on over here, because maybe you'll get a question. You never know. Okay. How am I doing on time? Good. Okay. Q&A. How do you spell STEM? Yes, sir.
So I just learned about STEM right here. I'm on the board of the PTO where my kids go to school, the elementary school. I've never heard of this, ever. And I've been on the board for 2 years now. And it's in Falmouth, so some of you are from Falmouth. So when did this start with you in the Falmouth school system? Because, again, I've never even heard of this. And my son, he's 8, half of his life since he was 4, has been saying he wants to be an inventor. So,
That's right.
So John and I are both Falmouth students, and we actually are the first class to graduate with a STEM designation that's been doing it for 4 years. And Falmouth High School was I'm pretty sure the first one in the state of Maine who started doing this. And I think Gorham students just said that they're starting to do it this year, and so it is becoming more and more popular. And yeah, I don't know. I don't say anything.
Thanks. Try to be brief. Questions?
Hi. I have a question for you, Chris. Great presentation, by the way. But I was curious, do you have any specific opportunities for students to tour TI and just see what's going on over there? How do you handle that at TI? Actually, I have one other simple question, too, and that's, why are the wafers round instead of square? Just curious.
I can't answer the second question. But it's primarily the way the ingot is formed. It lends itself to being round, so that's what we end up with. On your first question, the tours, we will be inundated with tours, but what we try to do is focus on the collaborations we have with the universities, community colleges. We are working with science and math teachers at the high school level. And what we do primarily is bring them over and show them what we do at TI. And then if they believe there's a strong student interest that really would resonate, then we would do that. 10, 15, 20 years ago, I would randomly ask my kids' friends if they want to come in for a tour, and it just doesn't get traction. It has to be these types of people that are really focused on STEM. and just get excited about it. So.
Thank you, Chris. Jay Cassavant from Vantage Point Recruiting. Wanted to ask some of the students here, what got them excited about getting involved in the robotics program? And the other part of this program is getting other people excited. So how do you go about getting your classmates engaged and excited?
Who's excited to answer that question?
Well, I really got excited about STEM during my 8th grade year of middle school. My brother was on the robotics team in his sophomore year, and I got to attend the regional competition in Manchester, New Hampshire. And until you see it, you have no idea what it's going to be like, but it's such an exciting event to go to. A first competition, there's so much energy. There are teams from all over the country, and there were teams from Mexico, Canada, all over. It's really just an exciting atmosphere to be in, and that's what really got me excited and into being in the STEM program.
Fantastic. I went to the robotics program, the VEX program up in Augusta 2-3 weeks ago. It was really exciting, and you guys did a great job.
Thanks for that question, Jay.
Chris, I recall back in the late 90s when National Semi was trying to decide where to locate its next plant, and South Portland was in competition globally. And the state was able to put together a package with the electric company, the local chamber, and other entities to entice the investment here. Now, here we are 20 years later. What would it take to get, is there any prospect of further fabrication or semiconductor work being invested in here? And what would it take on the part of the state, the locality, and the various components of the society to make that possible?
Thanks, David. That's a really complex question. Right now, our factory, since TI, has expanded every year for 3 years. What I would consider a modest amount, to the tune of about $40 million. So the company's invested here already, and we can expand within our current brick and mortar. What kind of incentives would it take? That really gets down to when the time comes, having the competitive positioning from a global standpoint. This is where I say it's a tough world out there. We are competing with North American, Asian, and European interests that all want to do the same thing. So there would be, it would be a, as you remember, probably well remembered, David, multiple points that drove that decision back then. It would be a very similar exercise going forward. Our business here is strong. Our factory is full. We've been, full for 3 years, and it looks favorable going forward. And it really, world economy, those sorts of factors are pretty large and meaningful to us. So I'm not going to make a prediction, but things are good right now for us.
I've got a question for the students. I'm the career advisor at Southern Maine Community College, so I can't help myself, I have to ask. In addition to talking with each other about the, whether to use the Knickerbocker widget on the equipment, do you sometimes talk about your career goals, and are they pretty well laid out? Have you all committed to TI, or are you thinking about other things? Do you know where you're going to college at this point in time? I'm just wondering if this is something that you talk about together as well.
Anybody want to take that one? Olivia's looking okay. Anybody else?
Okay, well, I have a very broad interest in the sciences. I'm still discovering what I'm interested in. Like this summer I did a biology internship at the Jackson Laboratory, but I'm still figuring out. I just applied to all my colleges the other day, so that was really exciting. But I mean, there's so many opportunities out there, and there's so many awesome things you can do. So, and it's just so hard in high school when you have so many so few opportunities. So that's why doing STEM and getting involved in FIRST are so important, so you can see all of them.
Jamie Willie with Canteen Service Company. We actually have a family friend's son who hitches a ride with us to Shawnee Peak every Saturday, and he's talked about the fun he's had. They actually went to Anaheim last year, and so the collaborative part of it, maybe we can get a couple of comments about that, because the fun of being on a team like that, Nicholas talked about. Also, I think everybody here wants to see Bill catch the ball before. But the collaboration, just to...
You want to comment from the actual users of the program, I think. Okay, here we go.
So one of the greatest parts of Greeley Science Research, which is a class that we all take, which is how we get into the robotics competitions, is that in the VEX competitions, you don't know what the game is going to be until a couple months before the first competition. It changes from year to year. And so that really helps with the creativity and collaboration, because we find out what this game is and we all have to come together and brainstorm, which type of robot is really best for this competition. And in the class, it's very easy to do that, because we can get together and be more creative. And really, I think it's just the opportunity for students to be able to come together and brainstorm is one of the greatest ways to foster creativity.
My name is Tom Keller. I'm with the Maine Mathematics and Science Alliance, and my question actually is for all of you. In March of this year, Maine will hold its first Maine Science Festival up in Bangor, at which the Maine State Science Fair will also have its final exhibitions. How many of you know about that event that's coming up in March in Bangor? Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. I would encourage you to look at it and look beyond the boundaries of Portland, because this is a statewide festival, and I'm sure Dana Humphrey can give you a lot more information about it. But think about that education connection, because this is how we're going to grow this pipeline.
Thanks for that pipeline comment, and I think that's a great challenge, and that's a good challenge for us to have, actually.
Good morning. I'm Linda Cohen from Bangor Savings Bank, and I also have the honor of being the mayor in the community in which Texas Instruments calls home. So we are very happy to have you there and proud of what you've done. I have a very good understanding of STEM, having worked in a previous position where STEM is a very important part of the educational program. And I'm sitting here looking at the group of young students up here and seeing one female, and this is a question for the students. Is this indicative of the participation? Do we have a hard time getting young women to participate in the robotics program? And if so, any suggestions on how we might get more?
Whose turn is it?
So I'll take this one. I would say largely it is indicative, unfortunately, of the overall ratio. And basically, the solution is to reach critical mass of females on our team, because as is, one graduates and suddenly our recruiting, the number of her friends that have heard about it, decreases. So the more girls that we have on the team, the more they can recruit, the more they tell their friends.
Well, and also, it really depends on the field, I guess, too, because last year we had a lot of girls on the robotics team, and then this year there's 5, and there's 40 of us in general. So the numbers really fluctuate depending on the year, but also I think it's more because it's specifically robotics. But when I did work for Jackson Laboratory, it was more women there than there were men. So it depends, I guess.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Very, very good job.
Chris, your comments were great, but the kids were great too. So thank you for sharing all that's going on with TI in Maine and across the globe. It's really a tremendous story about what's happening with R&D and the size of the company, and that you're here in the Portland region. It's really impressive to us, so thank you very much. As a thank you for your participation, we will be making a donation in your honor to today's Community Corner partner, the Robotics Institute of Maine. Sorry, Commissioner Mills has already left the room to go to the inauguration. I saw him tying and retying his tie about 6 times. I'm not sure what that was all about. So some final announcements as we wrap up. You can stay up to date on everything related to the Chamber by connecting via Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. Stay tuned to the Chamber's website for video of this morning's Eggs and Issues. And again, I was ready to catch that ball if it was coming to me. We hope to see you on Tuesday, February 10th, when our guest speaker will be Don Tusky, President of the Maine College of Art. Thanks again, Happy New Year, and I'm glad you're here. Have a good day.